Hello, I'm Ben Buddy Slack, and I'm the founder of the Swan Song Project. The Swan Song Project is a charity that helps people facing the end of their lives to write and record their own original songs. I've been doing a series of interviews with songwriters where I ask them to share with us one of their songs, tell us a little bit about how they wrote it, share with us a songwriting tip that might be useful to new songwriters, and also for a song that's meaningful to them in some way relating to bereavement. This episode features Sif Jacobson, and I hope you enjoy it. Okay, today I'm here with Sif Jacobson, also known as Lilac's daughter. Thanks for joining us, Sif.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm all right, yeah.
Good stuff. So if anyone's seen these interviews before, I'll do them in three sections. First, my guest's going to play one of their songs for us, and then we're going to have a little chat about how they wrote that. Section 2, Sif's going to share with us a songwriting tip that might be useful for new songwriters. And then Section 3, we're going to talk about a song that's meaningful in some way to my guest relating to bereavement. So I'm going to hand you over to Sif now, and you can introduce your song and take it away whenever you're ready.
Yeah, cool. I'm going to play a song that is not released. Getting there. We'll get there eventually. And it's called Lay Down Your Guard. Man is under a spell, covers his eyes as he makes his way through the dark. Illusion will keep him afloat. Lies become true if you tell them often enough. You can lay down your guard here. I won't tell anyone how you really feel. And if you dare lie your fearful something new and guide you. Tired of living a lie, a reflection of truth as he catches your eye. Helpless he contemplates. Soon enough he'll take his place. Say please, won't you sing? I need to know what's within. Please, won't you stay? I need to know what's within. What's within? What's within? You can lay down your guard here. I won't tell anyone how you really feel. You can lay down your guard here. I won't tell anyone how you really feel. 'Cause if you dare lie your fearful something new to guide you. Thank you.
Yeah, great stuff. Thanks for that, Sif. Yeah, it's really nice. So what was that one called, you say?
Sorry?
What was that song called?
It's called Lay Down Your Guard.
Lay Down Your Guard, great stuff.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about writing that? You say it's not released yet, is it? Is it one you had for a
It's not
while? Or?
released yet, no. Yeah, I've had it for a long time. So I've spent for about 4 years just writing and collecting material, and I'm gonna record all of it and release it in one big go. Call it Letters from England, and this is one of the letters.
Oh, brilliant.
It's yeah, so it's I kind of wanted to write songs that my first album is very based on. It's very ego orientated and or like towards myself and my own feelings and really only considering me, which I, in hindsight, I felt it was super selfish, and it was all about my feelings. And I started to think, well, maybe it'd be nice to write about other people and how in my view they are perceived, and to just sort of make them feel seen and heard. So this song is about like when you meet people that you don't necessarily know that well, your acquaintances, and it's common to ask, how are you? And the other person always says, well, I'm good. Sometimes it gets emphasized, like, yeah, I'm really, really good. And you kind of think it's okay. Like, if you're not okay, you can tell me. Like, I won't judge. I'll just hold space for you. So that's what this song is about. It's sort of to everyone who feels they have to say that they're okay. It's like, well, you don't have to. You can lay down your guard and I won't tell anyone.
Yeah.
That was the idea behind this track. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. Nice way of going about it. And what was your process like for writing it? Did you have, I guess, that concept, and then did the lay down your guard phrase come to mind straight away for it, or did you have the phrase and build it from there?
I usually first come up with like a bit of a chord progression that sounds nice to me. It's usually melancholic. That seems to be my sound. And then words just kind of come, and it'll be like a sort of, it's usually from an episode of something that's happened to me that's playing on my mind. And you know we have these little episodes that happen that just you go and repeat in your mind about it, and you can't stop thinking about it. And for me, it's such a release to be able to just write it, and then it's like out of the way. So that was what it was. And it just, you can lay down your guard, it just came straight from having had that encounter with a person where I felt like this person was just trying to emphasize that they're doing much better than I maybe think that they were. And it made me just feel like I wish I would have said in the time that I met that person, I wish I would have said, if you're not okay, that's okay too. And so that's why it just sort of all came together after the chord progressions.
Yeah, oh, that's really nice. Is that the way you say that's how you normally write? Then you come up with a chord progression, and then you let the lyrical ideas follow suit?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'll have like an idea of what I want to write about. There's the dog. And then the lyrics sort of come. Sometimes I'll have lyrics written, or more like I'll write down what happened, sort of in a poetic letter kind of way. Like I don't write a poem, and it's not like I write the lyrics. It's just like a letter that is old-fashioned almost, if that makes sense. You want it to sound nice, and then I can take that and bring it into lyrics, and you take individual phrases and sort of make it fit.
Yeah, that's a really nice way. Yeah, that's a nice way of doing it, isn't it? Letter writing feels almost like a lost art in many ways, that people don't like write as many letters these days. I used to do it a lot.
Yeah. I write so many letters now. Yeah.
It's such a treat when you do get a letter, isn't it? It's like, it does just feel like you said. I used to do a thing where if I was struggling with lyrics, I'd try and write prose. I'd try and write like a story, and then I'd do that until, because I found that it almost like tricked my brain into, and then from the prose I'd pull out things like, oh, that's actually a nice lyric. Oh, that's a nice lyric. But trying to write in a less structured manner, I guess, allowed my ideas to come which I imagine might be a similar thing with writing in letters.
I think it is, and I think for like that is actually a really good tip. I think for songwriters is to not jump ahead. Like don't worry too much about it being a good lyric just yet. Like literally just write down what you're going to write about, and you can always then once you've written it down, you can reform it. You know, you can choose different words, or you can choose different metaphors, and you can just completely reshape it. So it's sort of building it from being just the story or just the episode or just the feelings that you're having, and then you write it down as if you're telling someone, and then maybe you can turn it into, like, you can rewrite it into something that's a little bit more of a poetic letter kind of thing, and then from there you can really turn it into lyrics. I think that's a really good stepping stone, because often when you think, oh, I want to write about this, and you think, oh, I'm going to come up with these really great lyrics, you're just going too far ahead, and it just, nothing comes out that sounds good enough to actually be used, or, you know.
Yeah, definitely. That's really good advice. I'm interested in, you say you're going to do this Songs from England collection. How many Letters from England it's going to be called, isn't it? Is that the name of the album that you plan to do? I'm interested in how many of these you've got now and how big a collection it's going to be.
I've had to say no to some of my songs and just be like, you're not allowed, because I had to narrow it down. In my mind, an album is 12 songs. I don't know where that number comes from. It's just, that's how it is in my mind. And so it'll be, I just had, like, because I studied songwriting, so I had 4 years worth of songs, and I just picked out the ones that I felt were strongest and closest to my heart. And so those 12s are going to be the 12 letters from England that will then be on the album. Yeah.
It takes this great deal of discipline to write songs and then throw them away. or not throw them away, but, you know.
Yeah, they're just sort of, they're kept in a file, and maybe there'll be like some unreleased singles later on. Yeah, we'll see.
Birds and Rarities collection.
Yeah.
And do you have a timeline in mind of when you're looking to release that, or is that all a bit up in the air at the minute with everything going on of when you'll be able to record?
I think once lockdown is over, I'm going to start recording, and then I'm just going to let it take its time. I've been very back and forth between releasing in singles or in EPs, because that seems to be what most people are doing. But if I follow my heart and I think about how I actually want to do it, it doesn't seem right for me to be releasing this whole album in singles and in EPs. So I want to release it in like one full album, but I don't want to set a time, because I don't know how long it will actually take me to feel like, okay, it's done now, you know.
Yeah.
So all I know is when I'm going to start it, and that's going to be after lockdown. And I will be doing this song in particular, I'll be doing a release of as a live recording that will be on both on YouTube, and then the actual audio will be released on streaming services as well. So there'll be little sort of hints of certain songs that will be on the album, but I'm not going to release any of the studio recording until it's all gathered and all together, and then it'll be one big package
great
of letters.
Yeah, that'll be really nice. So I'll tag your pages and stuff in this description of this, so people can follow you and keep an eye on the upcoming release. So should we move into section 2 now? So this is where I ask my guests for a songwriting tip that might be useful for new songwriters. So we kind of had some great tips already in there, but have you got a specific tip that you would like to share with us, Sif?
I think for me, just really allowing yourself to be inspired by other people, both by other songs. Sometimes if it's hard for me to write or to come up with, like, because I was in a situation where I actually had to write within a certain amount of time, I had to have so much written and recorded, I would often find myself doing the same thing over and over. And for that, I would pick something that I felt like I enjoyed listening to it, but I couldn't write that. And then I would challenge myself to write something similar. And I think that is okay. I think there's a lot of fear of people stealing or not being original or just doing something that's been done before. And I think as long as your heart is in it, that shouldn't be a worry. So because you'll always be original, in which case, you know. So let yourself be inspired by other artists. And also, really, my main thing is like collaboration. Collaborate with other people, even if it's other just people who write. It doesn't have to be musicians, or if it's musicians who play but they don't write songs, you know. Those sort of collaborations, you learn from each other, and then that stays with you, all of these little lessons that you have. And yeah, collaborate, don't be scared, just collaborate.
Yeah, that's great advice. Yeah, it's something I was talking to someone else recently about collaboration, and how it's something that I wish I'd done at an earlier age. I think when I was first getting something, I was very nervous about the idea of collaborating, and that people would think that my ideas were stupid, and that, you know, that everyone else would be like, you know, great lyric and great, you know, tune after you know, straight away, and I'd be full of rubbish ideas. But it's definitely something that the more I've done it, the more I've got out of it, and the more I've enjoyed it. And yeah, I wish it was something I'd done sooner, really. And I think that's really good advice as well, to not just work with other songwriters as such, but other people who just play a certain instrument or just write lyrics, and you can cross over from all sorts of different things, can't you?
And there's a big like wall when you start collaborating. You'll like step into a big wall called ego. And that wall will keep you from collaborating, because you will think, I'm not as good as this person, and so this person won't like anything I do, or I can't keep up, or, you know. And I still have that, and I have that every day. I battle with myself thinking, oh, you know, I work with these musicians on my stuff, and I cannot comprehend or understand how come they can be bothered to work with me, because they're so good, you know. And I have this whole like, I beat myself up about not being as good as they are. But you have to remember the whole thing of like, no one can be you. And so if you go into that room collaborating with that sort of ego, okay, well, this is my ego, and I'm going to cut a piece open, and then I'm going to take my ego and put it here in this drawer, and I'm really going to leave it there. And then I will not be judging what the other person is doing, but likewise, I won't be judging myself. Because at the end of the day, I think when you collaborate, you'll find that both people are sat there judging themselves more than they're judging each other. So if you can start to let go of your own judgment, you'll find that this collaboration will just snowball and get better and better. And like you say, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get with it as well. So it's the main thing, and I think in the whole industry as well. If you want to, regardless whether you want to take your music somewhere or you just want to do it as a hobby, I think if you look at the industry, there's nowhere in the music industry that collaboration doesn't happen. Usually when you find released tracks, if you go and see who's written this track, you'll find that there's probably 2 to 3 songwriters and 1 or 2 producers on this one track, right? So everyone collaborates. It's just such an important part of music.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. I think there's a lot as well, like, you know, sometimes you get these iconic great songwriters and you assume that they've just written all these songs by themselves, and even if they're listed as like say there's producers who have had, you don't know how much influence the other people and their bandmates and just people they jam with and meet with, and it's like it all feeds into people's songs, and that. So yeah, I think that's great advice, Sif. Thanks for that. Let's move into section 3 now, shall we? So this is where I ask my guests to choose a song that's meaningful to them in some way relating to bereavement. So what I'll do now is I'll ask Sif to introduce the song she's chosen in a moment, and then I'll put the link in the description to this video. So if you're watching it, you can pause us and go and listen to the song, and then come back and we're going to have a little bit of a chat about it. So what song did you choose for us, Sif?
So I chose sorry, I'm just going to let the dog through again.
What's the dog called?
She's called Moo, which is a character from the Moomins. The little girl with the top knot, because she always looks angry, and I always look angry when I'm tired. So I kind of had this, like, I wanted this dog to be similar to me, and so I named it after my alter ego, Moo. But anyway, yeah, I chose the song called "When It Breaks" by Possessed by Paul James, and there are a lot of reasons why I chose this. I wanted to choose a piece of music that most people haven't heard and haven't listened to. I'm a very, very big fan of underground Americana music. And there are this little group of people in America that are just amazing, amazing songwriters. And Possessed by Paul James is one of them. He's such an amazing lyricist. And I think one of the things that I really like about him and his lyrics is he's just a regular person. He's a school teacher. Like, I saw this interview with him where he was like, most of all, I'm a father and a husband, and secondly, I'm a school teacher, and then I'm kind of a violinist and I'm a shit songwriter. And I was like, that I think that's really great, because that means that the lyrics that come out of his stuff is extremely relatable for all people, because it's so grounded. And this song, When It Breaks, is just one of them. And it's sort of the whole idea of, he literally said, what you gonna do when it breaks? And then he's just saying, well, you're gonna keep on going. Like, all of these things will happen in life, and life will break, but you just you keep on going. And it's not a forceful, like, you gotta keep on going. Like, it's more of a, you're just gonna stand back up, like, and then learn from that, and I feel like that really related to your project, in regards to sort of having that slap in the face from life, and then you go back, you get back up, and you grow from it. And I think that's the whole point of Possessed by Paul James, is all of his lyrics are about these things in life that are quite taboo and they're hard to talk about, but he sings about it, and he makes, like I said, he makes it feel like you're normal for feeling this way, and you're normal for experiencing these things, So that's why I chose him and that song.
Yeah, it's a beautiful song. I hadn't heard of it before. I hadn't heard of Possessed by Paul James before. I'm looking forward to listening to some more now. And yeah, listening to it the first time, that was that line, what you're going to do when it breaks, you're going to keep on coming, or keep on running, I think he says, isn't it? But
yeah, he keeps changing it, which is cool as well.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But yeah, it's a powerful thing of it reminds me of, there's an exercise that Tim Ferriss talks about called fear setting, where it's about kind of defining what you're scared of, and then what you would do in that case. And a lot of the time when you kind of put it down, it doesn't seem as bad. It's kind of like, well, if this is what I'm really scared of happening, actually, if that happened, this is how I deal with it. And then I'm just like, so even if that bad thing happens, I kind of know that I can deal with it in a way. That's one of the things that came to mind for me with it. It's like, what are you going to do when it breaks? You're going to keep going. You're going to. Yeah. It's a powerful song.
It's the groundedness of it. I think there's so much music that I personally sometimes struggle to relate to. I can enjoy it, but I can often struggle to relate, because it feels very up here. It's very unreal almost, and it's more like an escape, where for me music is not an escape. It's like a means to meditation, and I think it is for many people who write songs. I think if you're a songwriter, you're going inwards and you're learning about yourself, regardless of what level you're writing songs on. That's what happens, right? And it can be, that in itself can be a scary thing, to go inwards. And that's what meditation is as well. You look at yourself and you go inwards, and you start to understand yourself better, which is frightening. And yeah, that's what's so amazing about this music and a lot of the other Americana stuff that I listen to, is that the lyrics are grounded. They're here and they're real and they're human, and they're not too lifted away from what we're scared of all the time. Yeah,
it's a real craft to be able to deliver such meaning and such powerful things in very simple terms as well. That's what I always feel like. I always think just give it a song that can do a lot with a little, where it's not being fancy or convoluted. It's just, but there's so much to it as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a real style of songwriting that want to improve my own abilities out of trying to work in that direction, because it's it's an amazing, and Americana and country music I think is always good for, and blues as well. As there's very rarely a lot of complicated lyrics, but there's always so much meaning to them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, great stuff. Yeah, well, thanks a lot for joining me, Sif. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and I encourage everyone to follow Lilac's Daughter is the artist name, isn't it?
Yep, that's it. Lilac's Daughter.
So I'll tag all the pages in that, and you can follow and keep an eye out for letters from England. Hopefully it's not too long before the lockdown ends, and you can start on the recordings.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for joining me. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'll be back with another episode soon.